The CLT is based on the understanding that language is a tool for communication and students learn language through communication. This is the main premise of the method emphasizes the interactional view of language which this method uses. Communicative language teaching emphasizes communication as a way of learning language. In this way, learning foreign language is possible through communication, so students respond to linguistic stimuli. They are expected to create original utterances in the target language, answer teachers' questions, express their thoughts and feelings, and interact with others, especially classmates, in group activities. In order to speak, the teacher must provide comprehensible input, whether oral or written. This learning method engages all aspects of language learning and use, so students are able to write various types of texts as well as read them. The syllabus is organized around communicative situations which offer authenticity and reminds real-life communications. The students are engaged in language tasks which also make them use the target language. The CLT focuses on teaching of functions such as requesting, apologizing, persuading, and notions such as time, location, and quantity. The syllabus can also incorporate topics that contribute to communication and engagement. For instance, in the video, the video represents food pyramids comparing Latin American and American diets, so the topic is food. Within the lecture, students practice and acquire new vocabulary necessary for meaningful communication. The CLT concerns learners' communicative needs, so the topic communicative situations and language tasks present useful information that can be transferred to real life. Materials that the CLT uses may include teacher-prepared materials or handouts, realia or physical objects, authentic written texts, or pedagogically prepared written texts. The learners have these roles. They respond to the teacher's questions. Through communicative situations, language tasks, or discussions, they practice linguistic patterns. Learners are able to interpret both oral and written input from which they find meaning, key information, or supporting details. The teacher wants them to work in pairs or group activities. The CLT is based on communication as a way of learning foreign language and encourages students to communicate ideas and feelings. Sometimes they express uncertainty, but the teacher is there to make their speaking more confident. Teachers in the CLT assume the following roles. He or she must provide comprehensible input. The CLT centers around communication, so the teacher creates many opportunities for interaction in the language. In the video, the teacher or the lecturer teaches the subject matter in the target language the whole time, and this role applies to the CLT in general as it focuses on the use of the foreign language instead of the mother tongue. The teacher is ready to help with the students' learnings, and even in the video, she makes sure that students speak in the proper way, even though the CLT doesn't pay much attention to accuracy and it emphasizes fluency, but still she's there to make them more confident in speaking. Among the used materials, the teachers may develop original materials or select from the existing authentic oral or written texts. As the CLT is based on the teaching of language functions and notions, learners will acquire the ability to demonstrate communicative functions. Even though the learning of structures is not the main concern of this method, students practice grammatical structures, vocabulary, and lexical patterns within the communication. The content standards also focus on listening, comprehension, which allows them to understand spoken language regardless of source. Additionally, learners improve communication skills with the emphasis on pronunciation, fluency, and the abilities to start and maintain conversations or contribute to discussions. The CLT encourages writing and reading, so learners will easily comprehend and create their own texts. The teacher or the teachers assess the speaker's fluency in speaking and writing, demonstrating a greater understanding of grammatical structures, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Relating to speaking, teachers pay attention to the speaker's communicative abilities in discussions, pair activities, or group activities. The main goal is to use language as a tool for communication, so the students have to show speaking proficiency. The method has advantages as well as disadvantages. The advantages are the following. Students will understand possible cultural explanations for dietary differences that make it more interesting to remember. Therefore, this method incorporates cultural input into language instruction, helping learners see the cultural practices, norms, or perspectives of foreign language and culture. The teacher's method focuses on the constant use of foreign language, so the class has many opportunities to engage in the chosen language. Such possibilities make language more natural for the speakers, and their speaking can become more automatic. However, CLT still pays more attention to fluency than accuracy. It forces students to speak and recognize what they don't know and what they already know. The method is also centered around the learner's needs and allows them actively participate in learning. The disadvantages are the following. They can also practice language in group activities, so I'm still speaking about advantages. Materials prepared beforehand visually compared to diets, so it's easier for these students to learn and spot differences when the students are see familiar diet and then a new foreign diet. In order to learn, they need comprehensible input such as the American diet, because they are familiar with this diet, that then they can see differences in Latin American diet. So materials that are used during the lecture are also beneficial for their understanding of the topic. Disadvantages are the following. The teacher doesn't actively participate, so there is the lack of the teacher's input, because other teaching methods gave more space to the lecturer who is explaining the subject matter. Instead, this gives more space to the students. In this method, the teacher explains the topic but then asks plenty of questions. The students' answers directly correspond to the problem. However, sometimes these students may not respond correctly, and it may create confusion. But then it is the teacher's job to correct them and lead the discussion. More emphasis on fluency than accuracy, so that would be bigger disadvantage. Its activities can be hard to manage in larger classes of students. Also, in big classes, the teacher cannot give everyone the same space when it comes to performing different language tasks, or she cannot give them the same attention in communicative situations. The lecture uses all language aspects of language learning and use, such as speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Therefore, students utilize all aspects of language learning and use, such as grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary, comprehension, and consistency. Activities such as answering questions, discussions, pair activities are designed to help students practice newly acquired knowledge. They are expected to improve and practice speaking that should become natural, reminding their native language. Therefore, their use of foreign language will be more fluent, so the speakers may start to speak spontaneously. Moreover, they are expected to develop accuracy, so they should pay attention to correct grammar and vocabulary. But this wouldn't be entirely true, even though they have to use vocabulary they acquired that is needed for correct communication. The method can enhance their cultural understanding of the target language. Communication as a key part to learning leads to interactions and boosts students' interpersonal skills. The lecture incorporates culture because the students are learning about eating habits and food that dominate in Latin America. The way of eating is another aspect of culture, and it makes Latin America different from the US. I don't like the fact that the method emphasizes fluency over accuracy, so I would rarely use it despite its great focus on speaking.